they lost a lot of money, but I give them props because they took the lead.
They had to do it. They had to clear up. They had to make sure that
I'm happy they did it. And that's one of the reasons I came back and I fought Bisping, because if they would not have made drug tests, I would never have come back.
Wow.
I was like, no way. I'm like, this. I don't like that. But now I think
it just wasn't fair. It just wasn't. It's not fair.
It was insane. It was like too much.
Sanctioned.
And I'm never gonna say, hey, this guy. But when you're in the industry, you know who's who. You know who do what. It's a small world.
Yeah.
We all know. And
it's like when you're in 9th grade and some kid shows up like that with pimples everywhere. You know what's going on. But you know what Ricky's been doing. You know what I'm saying? You just know.
Yeah. But sometimes it's not even. You cannot even notice it's physically, because certain drug, like for example, like EPO, will give you a crazy stamina, but might not really changes you physically. There's stuff that people talks, you know who's who, and I mean, it was just at the time it was insane, and I'm glad that UFC did this. I didn't want to bring UFC down. That was not my intent when I did this. I wanted to elevate the sport, and I'm glad they did it. I think it elevated the sport, and now. Yeah, they're not with USADA anymore, but I think they hire another organization to do the tests now. But I do believe that if you want to avoid corruption, it needs to be a separated entity that do the test than the organization itself.
And is that what they have now? Right now, it says.
I am not sure, but if the organization has power in order, like in the testing, it's corrupted.
Yeah.
It cannot be corrupted. It needs to be a different entity where the organization does not have any power.
Right, because they can't be able to control and say, hey, let's make this okay and this not okay. Of course,
imagine you have a big fight coming up and the two guys that headline the cards, like one of them tests positive.
Oh, well.
They just screwed up the card, and they lose a lot of money. So they have they have an interest in this.
Yeah, this says Drug Free Sport International will be in charge of the collection process under the new program that begins in January when UFC's deal with USADA ends. This was last year. Former FBI Special Agent George Pirro, best known for interrogating former Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein, will be in charge of the new program. That's interesting. You identify people and entities in the space that can make something that is already working well, and you make them better. UFC Vice President Jeff Nowitzki said. You learn that USADA is not the only player in the space, and that a combination of other entities and individuals can actually make your program stronger and better. And that's exactly what's happening right now with our program.
It's unfortunate.
I believe they want clean guys fighting in there, no doubt.
I believe they want money. I think that's what they believe. I think that their number one interest is the money, which is normal. They run a business.
They're a business.
And after the security of the fighter. But it's not to bash them, and I think it's every company want to make money. That's the goal,
right?
Like that's the number one priority. And after, if we can make it fair and clean, okay. But money, I think, is always a number one. I think, and that's
the point. That's business, and you know what?
Business
and business. Sometimes business is inherently has some evil edges to it, or not evil, but it's like. Business gets kind of dirty sometimes. I'm not saying this, but I remember like I went and saw Poirier's last fight, and I remember waiting outside. The people came and took him in there to test him. But are those tests, are they able to keep those tests like legitimate? Are they like...
Well, the problem I believe is, well, just to give you an example, when I was training to fight Michael Bisping, you had to fill a whereabout. To let them know, okay, I have training at this time to this time at this place.
Okay.
Oh, next week I'm in Florida. But let's say you really want to cheat, for example. Okay, you just tell them you're going to, I don't know, freaking Antarctica or somewhere where they're not gonna spend money to send an investigator to test you.
Oh yeah.
But you go there, you get your stuff, and then you know how long it stays in your system, and then after you surf on it for weeks. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, I see. So you could use it to enhance you and then be clean when it's time for showtime.
Or another thing that guys do, they have a sponsors. Okay, so they prepare their excuse. So let's say I'm sponsored by a certain food supplement company.
Okay,
and I'm taking, for example, a certain substance that is illegal. I know that the food supplement, that the protein company that sponsor me is tainted by that certain substance. So I'm sponsored by them. So when I get caught, it's not my fault. It's the company that sponsors me. So that's another way. So you prepare your that's one of the way I would think they would do.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Did you feel like most of the fights you fought, your opponent was clean?
I don't have the evidence, and it's wrong to accuse someone if you don't have the evidence. But I know for a fact that there was a lot of guys that were using performance enhancing drug, and it was a big problem.
Yeah.
And the same thing in the Olympic, where you have money, you will always have corruption. Yeah. It's impossible to catch everyone, because the technology to cheat will always be one step ahead of the technology to catch the
I know,
the
it's
athlete.
crazy. It's like a cat and a mouse.
Yeah.
Well, you were fortunate, man. You got in and you kind of got out at the time where you wanted. I mean, you'd achieved everything you wanted. I mean, you're one of the rare people that it's almost like if you look at your career and stuff, you're like, dang, man, he made all the right moves, you know? You were strategic about it.
I was strategic, but I have the chance to have real friends. A lot of the people I hang out with, that I'm friend with, they were friend with me in the beginning. And for me, it's very important, because they don't tell me what I want to hear. They tell me the truth.
What you need.
And even when I wanted to come back and fight Michael Bisping, a lot of my good friends, they were like, George, you're 36 years old, man. Your best years are maybe behind you. What are you trying to prove? And my argument was like, man, I don't want to live with regret. I just want to do one more, or, depend how it's going to go, and if I fail, I fail, and I leave. And if I keep going, I keep going. But at least give me one shot, and if I succeed, we'll see after. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to leave with regret, because let's say I would not have done it. I will have grown up. Now I'm 43. It's too late. I passed my prime. I would live with regret. Say, oh, I should have done it, and now I would regret it. So I always believe that you never want to live with regrets. That's the worst thing.
Has there been moments since then where like you're just on the couch or something, you've had a couple beers and you're like, I'm fucking getting back in there tomorrow, and it's just like you're just kind of fired up?
After when I retired, I retired because I had when I won the title, but people don't know this, but I was very ill. Like I had a ulcerative colitis, because I was trying to gain weight.
Colitis.
Yes. I was trying to gain weight because I was fighting in a heavier...
Swelling of the large intestine.
Yes.
Okay.
I was trying to put on weight.
It's Crohn's disease. You have Crohn's disease?
No, it's ulcerative colitis. It's not Crohn.
Oh.
Crohn is different.
Ulcerative
But
colitis.
very often, ulcerative colitis transform into Crohn, and Crohn transform into cancer.
Oh.
A lot of time, you see that progression. Yeah. So when that, when I had those crazy cramp, it was during my training camp with Bisping, and I didn't know what it was, because it was blood when I was going to bathroom. And I told myself, I said, whatever it is, I'm going to do the fight, and I'm going to have, because but to know what it is, you need to do what they call a colonoscopy. So they go with a camera
they
inside.
Go in there.
But
yeah.
you need
Perverts.
you need to take laxative and all that. Like it empty you. Yeah. And I was trying to put on weight. So you know what I mean? I couldn't do it. It was a few weeks before. And I said, you know what, whatever it is, I'll do the fight and I'll deal with it after. And after the fight, I went to do the test, and I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and I was on heavy medication for anti-inflammatory. And I relinquished the title. I could have kept the title for 1 year and parade with the sponsorship, but I didn't want to do that because of for the respect, So I relinquished it because I didn't know what was going to happen. I said, man, I don't know what's going to happen, So I tried to get better, and after a few weeks, it didn't really work, and I discovered fasting. And what happened is pretty incredible. I met a doctor, Dr. Jason Fung in Toronto.
Jason Fung, F-U-N-G?
Yes. He's
Japanese, huh?
Yeah, nephrologist. He's, I think it's Chinese or Canadian Chinese, yeah.
Okay.
That's him, exactly. He gave me a fasting program. He treats a patient that has certain type of diabetes. And he gave me certain program of fasting. And what happened after the next few weeks, all my symptoms disappeared.
Wow.
And I diminished the dose of my medication until I no longer need it.
And what type of fasting? Like what exactly were you doing?
I did 2 types. I did what we call time restricted eating, where you eat in you eat all your calorie in a certain window.
Okay, like an intermittent fasting.
Yeah,
kind of
like
thing?
you eat your calorie in 8 hour, and you fast on, like, you only drink water in the 16 hour. And I do also prolonged fasting. So what I do when I do prolonged fasting, I do 4 days only water.
No
And
way.
when I train, I take salt in my hand. I put a little bit and I lick.
Like
and,
a pervert. It's okay. Or pervert.
Yeah, pervert. But you take salt because you don't want to deplete your mineral when you, and this over time, because ulcerative colitis, you're supposed to be stuck with that for life.
Wow.
It's a condition you have for life. When you got it, you finish. You know, you got it. And all my symptoms are gone. Now I can drink, I can eat whatever I want. And I realized that, you know, we talk about conspiracy and stuff. The reason why you don't hear about fasting is because nobody makes money with it. It's not no pills.
Free.
But it's really worth investigating. Of course, ask your doctor, but man, it changes my life, and I just wish I would have known this before.
Really?
It really did.
So you've used it in other facets too, to, you know, when you need to
it works for everything. Like sometimes you have an injury, like say tendonitis, and tendonitis often it's related to inflammation, you know. All inflammation disease, when you fast, it take away the inflammation, and if all the stuff that I had regarding inflammation, like one of my toes, I had a problem with one of my toes. It was hurting me for years. When I started doing my fasting, it kind of disappeared. Yeah. Yeah,
we don't think about that. We always think more, like a more medicine, more anything, more of this diet.
I thought the same thing before. I was like, oh, protein shake, this, because I was trying to gain weight when I fought Bisping. And I realized, man, I was doing everything wrong. And
we always think about the punch in. We don't think about the punch out, like you were saying. We don't think about the inverse of it.
It's insane. And I remember I had a chance to go to Kenya.
To